There's a particular kind of silence that follows men in the modern world. It isn't quiet. It hums with unasked questions, unspoken pressure, and the weight of expectations. If you've ever felt this gap between who you appear to be and how you actually feel, stay here for the next 35 minutes. By the end, you'll walk away with 9 Stoic truths and 5 simple rituals to reclaim calm, clarity, and control. Starting tonight, there's a particular kind of silence that follows men in the modern world. It isn't quiet. It's humming with unasked questions, with pressure with the weight of expectations. Imagine this. The first rays of sunlight are peeking through your blinds, painting your walls in subtle gold, but all you feel is a dull heaviness pressing into your chest. The sensation that something is missing, off balance, unresolved. Your calendar is full, but your spirit feels empty. This isn't a story about defeat, failure, or mediocrity. It's the story of what it means truly to be a man in a society that's always changing the rules of engagement, where masculinity is praised and scorned, demanded and denied, idolized and isolated. You step into the world each day armored. Maybe it's the way you straighten your shirt, the slight hardening of your jaw as you pass people in the grocery store, the way you swallow words you know will never be heard. For some, it's more subtle. A quiet decision not to show fear, not to admit uncertainty, never to ask for help, even when you need it most. Society's trap is insidious because it's everywhere. In your group chats about sports and stocks on television, in the myth of the self-made man who never falters. The trap says, don't let them see you struggle. Don't let them see you care too deeply. Don't admit that sometimes you don't know what you're doing. But underneath the surface, each man is grappling with the same adversary himself. It's a battle between being who you're expected to be and discovering who you actually are. Why is this so hard to talk about openly? Because generation after generation, vulnerability has been branded as weakness. Shame's echo is old as time. Real men don't cry. Real men don't get anxious. Real men don't need reassurance. But let's pause here. What does it mean when the price of acceptance is silence? If you could peel back the layers, the bravado, the jokes, the relentless focus on achievement, what would you find? Sometimes it's a boy who wanted to be enough. Other times it's a man who's grown tired of pretending. Let me give you a practical modern example. Consider Tyler, a 28-year-old software engineer living in Austin. Outwardly, his life looks solid. Good job, reliable friends, a gym membership he actually uses. But every night he lies awake, scrolling, measuring his life against the stylized happiness of influencers and celebrities. The gap between who he appears to be and how he actually feels grows inch by inch. One day, after a small work conflict, he finds himself lost in a thought spiral. Am I respected here? Why does everyone else seem more confident? Maybe if I got that senior role, if I bought that house, if I earned her admiration. Yet every milestone passes with a fleeting satisfaction that's quickly replaced by new anxieties. Millions of men, of every background and story, inhabit some version of Tyler's world. Here's the thing. This inner conflict isn't a modern phenomenon. The ancient Stoics knew this struggle intimately, and their wisdom is not dead philosophy, but a potent medicine for the wounds of our time. Seneca wrote more than 2,000 years ago, "We are more often frightened than hurt." He was speaking of the way fear and desire, left unchecked, can control us, reduce us, make strangers of ourselves. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, warrior, and philosopher, spent his nights under a flickering lamp, not plotting conquest, but wrestling with his own doubts. He left us a reminder: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. But how do you make these ancient insights real when you're just trying to make it through another week? Another meeting, another disappointed look from someone you love? Let's examine, intimately and directly, how these truths apply here and now, with emotional force and practical relevance. First, psychological truth. Pain is not the enemy. This is not just a slogan. By adulthood, every man has scars. Some are obvious: divorce, job loss, broken trust. Others are invisible: the casual cruelties of childhood, the respect that was always just out of reach of failures that nobody ever saw. The world encourages you to numb out. Bury yourself in screens, search for escape in alcohol, overwork, casual distraction. But the cost is high. You become estranged from your own experience. Take Marcus, a 35-year-old firefighter. Years in the field have exposed him to the kind of trauma most people would do anything to avoid. But it isn't the flames that haunt him. It's the aftermath. House saved, but a life lost. Praise from the station, but silence around the real grief. On his worst days, Marcus turns to his routines: lifting weights, cold showers, maintaining his gear with monastic dedication. But none of it fixes the ache he can't quite name. His wife tries to draw him out, but the words get stuck. The Stoic answer isn't to suppress pain, nor to wallow in it. It's to observe it without flinching, to see it as a messenger, the thing you must face, not escape. If you are distressed by anything external, Marcus Aurelius counsels, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. So what does this look like practically? Start by noticing your discomfort rather than masking it. The next time envy, anger, or fear emerges, pause. Draw a mental circle around the feeling. This is anger. This is fear. Don't rush to justify, analyze, or dismiss it. Dwell with discomfort as if it were a teacher, not an adversary. Research in modern psychology supports this. Men who can label and reflect on their emotions instead of suppressing or acting them out report greater emotional resilience, less aggression, and richer relationships. This is ancient practice clinically confirmed. Here is a second truth. Your mind is your domain. In a world of relentless comparison, Stoicism offers a radical turn inward, not to selfishness, but to self-stewardship. Epictetus was born enslaved. He lived in poverty, never owning riches, never demanding applause. Yet his influence shapes philosophy to this day. He believed some things are up to us and some are not. The distinction determines the quality of our lives. If you measure your value by external markers, income, romantic success, social status, the world will forever set new hoops to jump through. Inner stability comes from the disciplined cultivation of your own thoughts and reactions. Here, let's return to Tyler. After weeks of restlessness, he begins journaling, not as a performative act, but to witness his own inner terrain. He asks, what can I actually control in my job? He lists 3 things: his level of engagement, how he communicates under stress, and his willingness to grow from setbacks. This commitment subtly changes everything. He still faces difficult days, but his anxiety begins to shrink. Other people's opinions lose some of their tyranny. Action step craft, your own locus of control list. Each morning ask, what is fully mine to govern today? Later review, how did I respond when events turned against me? Repeat this process, and you'll find your energy returning to you rather than being scattered in 1,000 impossible directions. Top performers, CEOs, artists, athletes, routinely visualize what they control and what they don't. This is not passivity. It is considered agency focus under fire. Third truth. Legacy is built in the small things. Men are told, make your mark, be remembered, leave a legacy. But in practice, legacy forms not in grand gestures, but tiny moments, a word of encouragement given to a friend at his lowest, the effort to repair a fractured bond, kindness shown without witness or reward. Consider this: a middle-aged manager, after years of striving, is let go during a corporate restructure. His title gone, his workplace identity erased, he stumbles through a fog of bitterness and panic. Over time, through conversations with a mentor steeped in Stoic practice, he shifts his attention from what he's lost to what he can build. He volunteers locally, helps younger men navigate difficult transitions, and learns genuinely. The imprint of legacy is less about status and far more about impact. His children watch him suffer, but also see him act with dignity, humility, and perseverance. Years later, in everyday choices, his example shapes the kind of people they become. What story do you want told about you, not in eulogies, but in the everyday memory of those whose lives brush against yours? This is the quiet revolution. Stoicism offers every moment matters, and the smallest act of integrity or courage radiates outward in ways you may never fully see. Before we pause for this first part, let's loop back emotionally into the heart of the struggle to begin forming the bridge to change. No matter your background, suffering comes. You will lose people, experience defeat, be misunderstood, make mistakes that reverberate. The Stoic path isn't to pretend mastery. It's to meet reality with eyes open and heart awake. Can you, today, see one old wound, this too, not as a mark of shame, but an opportunity for healing? Can you practice observing, not suppressing your most uncomfortable emotions? Can you refine your standard? Am I letting the world define me, or am I choosing again and again to cultivate the thoughts and deeds within my command? Take this into practical life. When you feel under attack, at work, in relationships, within your own inner critic, pause, breathe, remind yourself, my response is mine to shape. This is not the easy path, nor the most glamorous, but it is, in the words of Seneca, the path that leads from noise to clarity. As we draw the curtain on this first section, let me ask, not as a content creator, but as a fellow traveler, what would it mean in your own life to accept that pain is unavoidable, but suffering is a choice? How might your world shift if you focused energy on what is entirely yours to own, to shape, to redeem? In the heart of the city, a young father stands at his daughter's soccer game. He cheers, smiles, makes small talk with other parents, but beneath the mask, his mind churns with quiet panic. Bills are stacking up. At work, layoffs seem to hover like storm clouds. At home, he feels disconnected from his partner. A gap widened not by arguments, but by worn-out routine and unspoken anxiety. On the walk back to his car, he wonders, am I letting everyone down? Is this the life I wanted? The real weight isn't the world outside, but the monologue echoing within. This inner monologue, restless, relentless, is the thread tying together generations of men. From the Roman legionaries who marched in silence toward uncertain battles to digital age men scrolling with envy through curated glimpses of other lives, there's a shared background hum. Am I enough? Am I seen? Do I matter? And if so, how do I prove it without losing myself? Modern traps multiply as the world speeds up. Work is no longer just a place to earn. It's become a battleground for validation. Social comparison is omnipresent, not just at the office or gym, but in the palm of your hand every waking hour. Even well-being becomes performative, something to track, measure, and argue over in online forums, meditation streaks, step counts, morning routines optimized in pursuit of some elusive inner peace. Pause for a moment. Picture the last time you felt the urge to win an invisible competition. Perhaps someone's attention, perhaps accolades at work, perhaps just a little more peace than the day before. Notice how quickly that urge tightens your chest, how reflexively your mind begins telling stories. If only I had that promotion, if only my partner admired me more, if only I looked like that. Then I could stop trying and just be enough. But the rules never stop shifting. Today's success becomes tomorrow's baseline, and now the same relentless hunger returns hungrier. Here, Stoic wisdom offers not mere comfort, but a method, a systematic way to engage with ambition, anxiety, and identity. But Stoicism is not resignation. It's not the dulling of dreams, nor a cold retreat into apathy. Instead, it's the passionate discipline of choosing which fires you feed. Let's move deeper. The fourth psychological truth. Desire is endless. Satisfaction is chosen. The ancients called it the hedonic treadmill. The more we achieve, the more the goalposts move. Seneca warned, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This is not a condemnation of ambition. Ambition is fuel, but when unexamined, it becomes a thirst that nothing external can quench. Vivid example. Imagine Chris, a 32-year-old entrepreneur in Los Angeles. His company has doubled its revenue 3 years in a row. He's lauded in business magazines, receives invitations to panels, drives the car he used to dream about. But each win fades. Anxiety creeps back. Every night, his mind replays what he hasn't done yet, what more he must become to keep up. Friends envy his apparent success, but cannot see the low-level dread that permeates his mornings. He launches a podcast, not out of passion, but from a fear that without constant reinvention, he'll be forgotten. Is the answer to stop striving? Number Stoicism invites you to wield desire consciously. Wanting more is not a flaw, but expecting more to solve inner unease is a trap. The Stoic move is radical acceptance. These ambitions I own, but they do not own me. I can choose which ones to water, which ones to let wither. My satisfaction lies in how I show up, not in having it all. In practical terms, this means lingering in gratitude, even for things you might take for granted. A safe moment, an honest conversation, your own breath. It may sound hackneyed, but research consistently shows daily gratitude. Practice rebuilds the neural pathways shattered by chronic dissatisfaction. Yet even this is not simply a wellness hack. It is an act of rebellion. In an economy built on endless acquisition, gratitude is a statement: I have enough. Right now I am enough, even as I work for more. Then a fifth psychological truth. Real connection is forged in honesty, not achievement. Many men, consciously or not, have absorbed the myth that intimacy is earned through impressing others, through winning, through flawless strength. Nothing could be further from the truth. Women, friends, children, even rivals sense authenticity more than bravado. The most magnetic men are those who risk revealing confusion, who ask open-ended questions, who listen without scheming their next self-defense. Picture a bar late on a Monday. Two old friends, beer in hand, drift away from banter and stumble into real talk. One admits, "I don't know if I want this life I'm living. I love my kids, but I feel invisible at home. My job feels pointless, but I can't say that to anyone." The other, usually stoic, hesitates and then says, "I get it. Sometimes I wake up and wonder if this is all there is for me too." That moment, fleeting but raw, is a spark, the beginning of real brotherhood. Admiration is nice, but understanding is holy. Those stories you hide may be the exact bridge someone else desperately needs. An exercise. The next time someone asks, "How are you?" pause. Instead of reflexively replying, "Good, busy, same old," offer something slightly more real. "Honestly, it's been a tough week, but I'm working through it." See what happens next. Often you'll receive not judgment but relief, an invitation for them to be real in turn. This honesty is not about dumping pain, nor about dramatizing struggle. It's about allowing space for truthful dialogue. The strongest relationships are built not on invulnerability, but on carefully chosen vulnerability, on gradual mutual revelation. Let's fill this out with a more contemporary tie-in. Across thousands of Reddit threads, podcasts, and TikTok confessionals, men today are pushing back against the old silence. On our Ask Men posts on "I don't feel respected at home" or "How do you handle feeling lost in your 30s" draw thousands of responses. Some offer trite advice, but many extend genuine solidarity. You're not alone, brother. I've been there. This new virtual fraternity is not a substitute for face-to-face connection, but it is a crucial reminder that struggle is not a personal defect, but a shared experience. Consider another practical example. Darius, 44, a construction foreman in Florida. He never learned the language of emotion growing up. After a divorce, he fell into depression that threatened his job and friendships. Out of desperation, he joined a men's group at his local community center. Suspicious, guarded. The group wasn't about wallowing in misery or trading war stories, but about holding one another accountable. Are you living in alignment with your own values, or just surviving through the sharing of setbacks? And slow progress, Darius found not solutions, but stamina. The power of connection comes not from the absence of hardship, but the presence of honest struggle. Let's transition with an emotional loop. None of us can journey alone, nor can we demand that someone else save us. Meaning is handcrafted daily in private acts, and public choices in silent endurance and loud confession. The world may keep shifting the terms of manhood, but only you can decide the terms of your inner peace. The sixth psychological truth: control is found in response, never in result. In the Stoic world, life's blows are not obstacles to happiness, but invitations to mastery over your own response. This is easy to say, brutally hard to live. Every day you face situations outside your control: rejection, disappointment, traffic jams, weather, bureaucracy, other people's moods and choices. The reflex is either frustrated action or bitter resignation. A deeper path: practice the discipline of pause. When you meet resistance, an argument in your marriage, a project unexpectedly failing, your own recurring doubts, snap your attention to the only lever you always possess: your judgment, your conduct, your next small step. A contemporary lens: during the height of the pandemic, millions lost jobs, routines, and plans. Many men reported feeling utterly powerless. James, a personal trainer from Houston, watched as his gym shut down and his sense of purpose evaporated. For weeks he raged against the unfairness. Then, drawing on Epictetus, he reframed. My craft is not proving myself at a facility, but building the habits and strengths that no cancellation can erase. He started recording short videos on resilience, not to go viral, but as daily practice. His reach was modest, but his confidence regrew. Not because things got easier, but because his focus shifted from result to response. Applied wisdom. Keep a card in your wallet or notes app that reads, "What can I influence right now?" During moments of helplessness, pull it out. List only actions or thoughts inside your control, no matter how small. This shift is not passivity, it's radical agency. Over time, anxiety diminishes, not when outcomes bend to your will, but when you find invincible peace in your own next move. Let's now loop emotionally, reminding life will not apologize for its unpredictability nor will people. Strength is built not by controlling everything, but by learning to dance with chaos, to greet setbacks as sculptors of your character. Finally, let's tie in more modern examples. Tech entrepreneur Naval Ravikant, in widely shared podcasts, speaks of choosing to be present even in disappointment. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps, after public victories, was open about post-win depression and found healing in shifting focus from medals to mentorship. Even high-performing leaders like Tim Ferriss, known for his 4-hour empire, routinely remind their audiences that mastery is not about universal achievement, but about selective focus and deliberate self-kindness. The world is brimming with surface-level advice. Hustle harder, be alpha, never let them see you sweat. But beneath that, in the stories of men you admire again and again, you'll find the same distinctive melody: peace is not bestowed from above. It is built patiently in moments of acceptance and the courage to try again. As we draw this second act toward its close, revisit the lessons in lived experience. What happens if tonight you put down the mask? Write not a resume of achievements, but a private account of what matters to you. Who you wish to become in quiet moments when all applause fades. Who would benefit if you risked honesty, not perfection, in your relationships? Which ambitions are truly yours and which are inherited, borrowed, or forced by fear? For men today, wisdom is not an abstract ideal. It's a lived balance between striving and letting go, between rugged individualism and genuine connection, between the need to prove and the invitation to simply be. Let the words of Marcus Aurelius settle on your mind. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Anchor yourself in this clarity and notice how some anxieties evaporate, not in victory, but in alignment. In the next part, we will dive deeper, bringing forth actionable Stoic practices for daily life, advanced exercises in reframing, and powerful stories of men who have carved new meaning in adversity. The intention is not just to inform, but to reforge the way you see yourself, your relationships, and your legacy. Night descends quietly, softening the chaos of another relentless day. Somewhere, a man stands by his kitchen window, hands wrapped around a cooling mug, replaying moments big and small. The argument with his partner that left words hanging like storm clouds. The pressure at work that feels both familiar and forever unresolved. The good intentions broken by old habits. A familiar fatigue settles in, not just of the body, but the soul. Yet, in this dusk, something else stirs, a question more urgent than before. Is this all there is? Just getting by, keeping up, surviving the churn until the next challenge comes. The world's din never softens on its own. It's up to each of us to choose which voices to amplify, which truths to keep. Now it is time to bring the wisdom of Stoicism out of the pages and into the living, breathing trenches of daily life. Not to add to the noise, but to forge clarity, resolve, and an ever-deepening sense of what matters. Let's return to the core. Stoicism is not theory, but therapy for the self, a discipline to be lived. Philosophers from Epictetus to Marcus Aurelius wrote not for lecture halls, but for battlefields, prisons, thrones, and kitchens. They wrote for you knowing you would one day face many of the same struggles, just wrapped in the trappings of the modern world. So now the seventh psychological truth emerges. Suffering is transformed by meaning. Pain is inevitable, as we have seen, but it need not be empty. The work, the heartbreak, the uncertainty, all of it can be fuel for growth if it serves a purpose you choose. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the horrors of the Holocaust, put it this way: those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. The Stoics anticipated this truth: adversity is made bearable and even redemptive by discovering or creating meaning within it. Consider Alex, divorced father of two, forced to rebuild life in a small apartment after his business failed. The loneliness is sharpest on weekends, when the phone is silent and the city outside seems to move on without him. Years ago, Alex might have spiraled into bitterness or learned helplessness. But this time he turns to the wisdom of the ancients. Nightly, he writes one lesson, learned one value he wishes to embody for his children, even if no one is watching. He volunteers, first out of obligation, then as a surrogate family. Slowly, pain becomes the forge of purpose, a legacy not of wealth, but of resilience, presence, and compassion. This is the secret power of hardship. It clears away the superficial and demands your real self. When next you are tempted to ask, "Why me?" pivot gently. What can I build with this? What value does this hardship reveal in me or for others? Even profound loss can serve as the birthplace of wisdom, if met with honesty and courage. Now let's advance to the 8th psychological truth. Reframing rewires destiny. Events are just events. It is your interpretation that shapes destiny. Marcus Aurelius insisted, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Modern psychologists echo this in cognitive behavioral therapy. The story you attach to circumstances determines how powerfully they impact you. In practice, reframing is an art, not a trick. It does not seek to sugarcoat reality, but to see more deeply, more usefully. When you fail at something important, the old reflex is shame. The Stoic alternative is discipline, not "I am a failure." But I attempted, I learned, I lived. Reframing is not a denial of pain, but an honest accounting. What is this experience for? Where is the invitation buried inside setback? Take this directly to the boardroom, the gym, or the home. The lost promotion is not evidence of unworthiness, but an opportunity to study, adapt, and return stronger. The broken relationship may not be a curse, but the birth of a greater honesty with yourself and future partners. Beyond platitude, this is advanced practice, requiring you again and again to interrogate your initial reaction and seek the thread of empowerment. For a vivid contemporary, take watch interviews with NBA legend Giannis Antetokounmpo, who turned disappointment on basketball's biggest stage not into public self-pity, but a teach-in about the work of building character brick by brick, day by day. Or notice entrepreneur Naval Ravikant reflecting on setbacks not as endpoints, but as feature updates from the universe, as a practical exercise. Whenever something doesn't go your way, try this. Pause, breathe, state the raw fact, then list 3 new questions. What specifically is in my control right now? What story would the best version of me tell about this? How can I turn this obstacle into a teacher, not a jailer? Gradually, with each repetition, the neural pathways of despair weaken, and those of agency, the Stoic hallmark, strengthen. We now arrive at perhaps the most misunderstood need modern men carry. The 9th psychological truth. Peace is scary, but it is possible. So much of daily life is spent chasing, running, filling the space with activity, distraction, even anxiety itself. It is easy in the trenches to believe that peace is an illusion, something for monks or maniacs, never for ordinary men with deadlines and never enough. But Stoicism shows that peace is not the absence of struggle, but a cultivated presence within it. It's the ability to be still at the eye of the storm, to notice urges and let them rise and fall without being hijacked to meet the unknown, and say, "I will not abandon myself." To practice this, you need daily rituals. anchoring habits, not grand gestures. A few that modern Stoics and therapists recommend. Begin or end each day with a journaling session, not a diary of complaints, but an audit of reactions. A celebration of small victories in self-mastery. Develop a premeditation routine. Imagine the day's possible setbacks before they strike. When reality matches, you're readier than the world expects. Use the view from above. In stressful moments, step back and picture your life from a bird's-eye view, seeing how today's worries shrink in the sweep of your entire story, your relationships, your legacy. If you need evidence, this works. Research in resilience and stress reduction confirms what the Stoics intuited. Regular reflection and deliberate self-dialogue recalibrate mood, cognition, even physical health. The brain literally rebuilds itself around what you choose to notice and reinforce. As we move toward closure, let's loop in powerful contemporary voices. Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL and author, speaks often of extreme ownership. His take on Stoic agency. If you want peace, prepare for war. But the real war is for your own mind. Actor Terry Crews, in interviews and memoir, equally insists vulnerability was the key that unlocked every good thing in my life. Listen to resonant podcasts and you'll hear echoes. Healing begins by observing, accepting, and shaping your mind's weather day by day. But even mastery can breed loneliness. You need not endure in solitude. The ancient Stoics wrote letters, built communities, kept counsel. Even Marcus Aurelius shared his struggles in what became meditations. Find your counsel, your moment of candid conversation. Offer your story. Receive someone else's. Brotherhood is not about solving each other's lives, but walking together awake. And here the script returns full circle. A final reframe and an invitation. You are not condemned to repeat the old patterns, to believe that your value lies in perfection, in noise, or in being unbroken. Your story is being written in every act of noticing, reframing, choosing. The world may not see it, may not cheer, may not care, but you will know. In the silent moments, the question returns. Whose life exactly am I living? The old fears may never completely fade, but courage grows with every honest answer you dare to give. So as you stand at the edge of another night, another week, another round of ordinary miracles and ordinary struggles, pause here. Breathe. Lay down the armors that no longer serve you. Review, as in Socratic dialogue, one last time, the landscape of your own self. If you truly owned nothing but your response, your mind, your values, and your relationships, what kind of life would be enough? Not someday, but now. The world will clamor for your attention, but the most important conversation is always the one you have with yourself in quiet hours as the world spins on. And so to end, not with an answer, but a living question and the Socratic call to reflection. If no one rewarded or witnessed your efforts, if praise were gone and blame forgotten, what kind of man would you choose to become? What kind of peace would you cultivate simply by being wholly yourself? Resilient, present, awake. If this resonated, share it with a man who might need to hear it. And remember, strength isn't in never falling. It's in standing back up with clarity, integrity, and peace.